Welcome to A-1 photography practice set. I'm going to be very upfront with you about this project. This is not a clean practice set, meaning that there are several errors in the textbook. I'm going to tell you about them on this video and then we can work through them. But again, I want to be upfront that this is not a clean practice set. I really like a couple of things about it. I really think it makes you think, and it makes you use QuickBooks just slightly different than the way you've been learning in the textbook, which I think is excellent. This practice set actually is a little bit closer to how you would be using QuickBooks out in the real world for a company that isn't quite set up all the way. And unfortunately, it happens a lot. So that's one of the reasons we go through this practice set. So first of all, I apologize, the length of this video is probably going to be fairly long, but I also want to give you a good start. First of all, I want to talk about the A-1 photography practice set. This book is large and we'll actually only be using pages 8 to 17 and then pages 43 to 85. We're not going to use the entire rest of the textbook. This textbook is set up so that you could do this practice set by hand in QuickBooks, in Peachtree, and then something called Prentice Hall General Ledger. We are only in this particular class going to do it by QuickBooks. It will talk about journalizing them and doing this by hand. We are skipping all of that. So be sure that you completely understand So please make sure that you understand all the directions that are slightly different than the book. As you can see right up here, I have a project instructions sheet. So that's where I'm going to head first, and then I'm going to go through about the first 7 to 10 transactions to make sure that you are on track. Again, this is going to make you think, and there are times that you may be a little bit frustrated, but again, you will get a lot out of this. The other thing I want to tell you is all the check figures are in the book. So starting on page, let's see. Looks like the check figures starting on page 13. Will give you the September reports before and after adjustments. Your journal check figure will probably match for September, and after September it probably won't, and I'm okay with that. They used QuickBooks 2010 to create this, but it doesn't really, the journal you'd have to manipulate it a lot. So you are looking for trial balance, net income, and total assets. Those are the ones that I'm very, very worried about, and if those are correct, then we're probably just going to move on. So I want to look at the project instruction sheets. Use 2014. Let's just go down this list. Use 2014. I think you'll have a lot less date errors. I know dates can be a huge issue, so we're just going to go with 2014. You'll begin working on page 8 in your textbook in the A-1 photography. Use the QuickBooks file that's posted out in Blackboard. This one right back here that says A-1 QuickBooks backup file updated to 2013. Use this. It is a backup file. You are going to have to restore it. You are not going to manually complete this in practice set. And if you'll look on the instructions on top of page 11, it tells you to manually complete it. We are not, I can't stress this enough, we are not doing this manually before we put it in QuickBooks. So enter all the transactions that you normally would in QuickBooks. If it says write a check, write a check. If it says you're going to pay it later, put it in as a bill. Now the deposits I'm going to have to show you how to do because they're slightly different than what we've done before, but again I wanted to show you that there's another way to use QuickBooks. Print all the reports, every single one of them that's in the book. If it tells you to print it, print it. So how this goes through is it's already set up. We're going to go through some transactions and then it's going to give you some check figures, and then it's going to tell you to do some adjustments, and then it's going to tell you to print some reports. Follow it step by step. So for instance, it tells you to print before adjustments the journal and the trial balance, and then after adjustments general journal, general ledger, trial balance, income statement, balance sheet. Again, your general journal is probably not going to match after the first month. It will match the first month, and then after that, I am not concerned if your journal check figures do not match. I am concerned if your income statement and balance sheet do not match. Okay, so now I have my A1 photography open right here. And I want to take just a few minutes to familiarize ourselves with this before we ever get started. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to look at my chart of accounts. Looks like we have some cash in a bank account, some accounts receivable, prepaid rent, insurance, photographic supplies, office supplies. Looks like we have some photograph equipment and some office equipment. Accounts payable, notes payable, salaries payable. Unearned photo service, it's a liability, meaning that somebody has paid us in advance for that. We have some capital, we have some draws, we have some revenue, photographic service revenue. Look, and that looks like it's the only photographic service revenue is the only income account we have, and then it looks like we have some expense accounts. In this particular practice set, we will not be adding any accounts. So you need to figure out which one of these accounts that any of these transactions fit in. And then starting on page 12, top of page 12, it says that Phil prepares a deposit ticket and he prepares and gives a duplicate deposit. And so then all of those deposit slips are back in the business papers. And those start on page 43. So then cash payments, it says all payments are made by check and then they are stamped approved for payment when we're going to pay them. And when we go through those very first couple of transactions, we'll show you how we are going to do that. And then cash payments, withdrawals, all the checks are made out to Phil Brown. And then we have unpaid purchases, purchase invoices, those are when we have purchased something but we haven't paid them. We're going to enter those as bills. So now everybody switch to page 43. Page 43. So we're going to start on a couple of these transactions, and so we can get everybody on the right track. So September transactions. The very first one says, please record the following initial investment for A1 photography. And we have cash, and we have photographic equipment, we have office equipment, and we have vehicle. So we have cash that is coming in, and then it says, combine with a $6,000 receipt in document 2 for a $16,000 deposit into the checkbook. So we have a couple of ways we can do this. We can do these as separate, or we can just do them separately. I like to do them separately, or we could do them together, or we could do them separately. I like to do them separately at this very first journal entry so that you can see exactly what is happening. So in order to do an initial investment, we do what? Well, in our other textbook, we did a journal entry. So we're going to go ahead and do a journal entry here. Make general journal entry. And I am going to date this. I am going to date this 09/01/14. And I have some cash of $10,000. Oops. And I also have some photographic equipment for $50,000. Oop, too many zeros. And I have office equipment of $25,000, and I have vehicle of $12,500. Okay, so we know we have debits because we debit assets. So now we've got to figure out where the rest of this goes. Well, probably to his capital account because that's the other side of that entry. And then we put in a memo of initial investment. So we'll go ahead and put Save and close. And now if we go over here to the check register, we now have a $10,000 deposit. Okay. So then next we go over and the next one says, I received a check today for $6,000 from Providence Country Club to photograph events held at the club over the next 12 months. So we're receiving a payment, but we have not billed the customer. So there's no invoice. In fact, if I recall correctly, I don't think there's any customers. Let's check. Oh, there's two, but one of those is not A-1 or Providence Country Club. So I wanted to show you something that is slightly different and that you will see a lot of people use, and I wanted to introduce it in this practice set because you will see it being used. If you go over here to this record deposits, it's blank, and normally this is where we would go to put in when we've actually received a check, we've had an invoice, all of that is going, and you will see where people just skip the invoice, and because it's prepaid, they'll go right over here. And we can go received from Providence Country Club. And we're going to quick add, and this is a customer from account. So where is this going to go on our financial statements? Where is it going to go? Well, it's prepaid because received a check today to photograph events held at the club over the next 12 months. 12 months, so that's a prepaid. So we're going to do unearned photo service because we have not earned that income yet. And the amount is $6,000. And you can do check and hit save and close. And you know what? I did not change the date. Oh, I did. Okay. And now if I go over here, it is now in my check register and it goes to unearned photo services. So you can use that make deposit screen for a lot of things. So now it says on document 3, it looks like it is a bill from an insurance company. It says our annual premium for 12 months. That means this is going to cover 12 months. So each month we are going to use up $200 of this insurance amount. But it also says use the prepaid insurance for account approved for payment. So it's been approved for payment. So when it's approved for payment, we write a check. And this is dated 9/1, so same date, and Atlantic Insurance Company. So again, a lot of these aren't in here. Go ahead and quick add, that's a vendor. So $2,400. And we need to go find prepaid insurance. Remember, prepaid insurance is an asset. So prepaid insurance. And remember that this is a 12-month policy. You'll want to keep that in mind when you are going through and doing closing entries. Save and close. So let's flip it over. Douglas Realty, document 4, we prepaid our rent for 4 months. 4 months. That means it's prepaid rent. And it also says approved for payment. So we're going to write a check. And rent expense. Oh, Douglas Realty. Quick add. And at any time, if I'm going too fast, just pause the video and let's make sure yep, still okay. Save and close. And so now I have a deposit, 2 checks, and a deposit. So I just went into my check register. Okay. So now, darkroom supplies. and it looks like we purchased $264, and it also shows that we have terms of net 30, and nowhere on here does it say that it's approved for payment. So we have agreed to pay them later for this, so we need to go ahead and enter a bill. And the vendor is Darkroom Supplies. Looks like we've used them before. It looks like the date on this is September 5th, so we need to change that to the 5th. The total amount due is $264, and it tells us right at the bottom to use photographic supplies. Photographic supplies. Okay. And then save and close. So we entered a bill just like we normally do. Okay, so now document 6 is where you have to just kind of think through this. So the deposit, it says the deposit amount for photographic revenue. And it says that it includes the amount from documents 1 and document 2, and the only thing that is not included in document 6 is $1,563. Everything else was included prior. So if we open up our check register, we can see that the items from document 1 and document 2 are already deposited, and so now we just need to deposit the additional $1,563. So that if you add together this deposit, plus the one we're getting ready to make, it'll equal this. So in this practice set, the deposits in QuickBooks are not necessarily going to match the deposit slips in the textbook. You need to look back and think, okay, did I already deposit this $10,000? We have. You don't want to duplicate it. So again, we're going to hit record deposit and received from, and we are going to put in cash customers because these are the people that had walked in off the street and we just wrote them up a sales slip and shoved them out the door. And again, remember, we're not using the sales slips and invoices like we did prior because I'm showing you a different way to do this in QuickBooks. It's still correct, not 100% correct, but this is how you will see people use QuickBooks. And this is a customer and from account. And it tells us that it's photographic revenue. And I'm going to have to go find that. Income, photographic service revenue. And the amount is $1,563. $1,563 right over here. And I'm going to do save and close. And now if I go to my check register and I add up these 3 deposits, they equal $17,563. Okay? So let's keep going. Computer sales and service. On September 10th, it looks like we got a Fastway 300 system, and it tells you charge to office equipment. It doesn't say that we paid it today, so we're just going to go ahead and enter a bill. And we're going to computer sales and service, and amount due is $4,000, and it tells us that we go to office equipment. Office equipment is an asset. And we hit save and close. So now we have gone clear through document 7. So document 8 looks like we're paying a subscription. Document 9, it looks like we are going to do an invoice. We are invoicing out a client. So here we would create an invoice. Okay. So the other thing I want to point out is such as in document 10, let's just do document 9 really quick and create an invoice. The customer is Jerry Willis. The item is add new, and our item is service, and our item name is wedding pictures. Hit OK. Oh, an account, it is going to go to our income account. All of these, anything you add for income wise is going to be pointed to our and do quantity, wedding pictures, and $1,500. Okay. So shows they owe us $1,500 and it says all accounts are doable within 30 days. So terms net 30. Okay. Save and close. And it says you've changed the terms for this customer. Yes, I know that. I'm well aware of that. Now, on to document 10. The one thing I will warn you about, and where there are misprints in this book, is a lot of the time the deposit numbers will not add up. So for instance, in this particular one it does, but where it has currency and then the list of the single checks, and occasionally you'll come across one, they just don't add up. All I'm worried about is the total deposit. I'm really not sure why they couldn't figure out how to make things match. I'm going to change this to the 12th. And I received income from photographic service revenue. The amount is 1288. So we took all our cash sales, all of our cash sales, and went ahead and put them in. Okay. So then document 11, you're writing a check. You can go ahead and do that. Document 12, you've completed negotiations with Central Union Bank to borrow $20,000. Prepare a journal entry. Prepare a journal entry. And then it says, but wait, don't forget to add it to your checkbook. Okay. But we're going to go here, make general journal entry. So it's the 12th. We know it affects cash. So that is part of our journal entry. Okay. And then let's go look. It's a liability. My guess is it's notes payable. Okay, notes payable. And I do loan from Central National Bank. Save and close. Now if we go over here and look in our check register, we have $20,000 that we deposited from that loan. Now turn over to document 15 on page 49, and that $20,000 is already deposited. So you need to only deposit looks like $5,172. You have to think through this in this practice set. Have I already deposited the X amount of dollars? So it says this deposit ticket includes the $20,000 from the notes payable from the bank. Well, I've already deposited it. Don't duplicate it. Okay. So a couple things like document 21, there is a misprint. I can tell you that. There's a $1,000 misprint. So you need to have the total deposit of net deposit of $4,527. That is the total that you are looking for. Okay. So I'm going to leave you at that. You will have to do closing entries. So that starts on document 25. Don't forget to go back and look and see how many months the insurance and the rent covered. And this will give you a good start on this practice set. Again, your journals may not match, but your net income after adjustments need to match. And I wish you luck, and please feel free to email me at any time if you need help on this project. And thank you for being great students.